Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Bowman here, and today I am presenting to you the Baldur's Gate series review so far. So I won't be going through every single game one by one. I will be giving sort of a grade at the end for each of them, but I'll sort of be just talking about all of them as a whole. And then at the end of the video, I will be sharing with you some news on Baldur's Gate 3 and when you might be able to, I don't know, get your hands on that. So stay tuned for that. So first, let's talk about the gameplay for the Baldur's Gate games. They're sort of old school in this top-down view, but that's sort of it sort of gives the game that charm, that old school charm. Even the newer one, Siege of Dragonspear, I believe that's the newest sort of rendition or thing that's come out recently. But it's sort of what makes those games so special, that it's so old school, but yet is very stands up to today, in that respect. Next thing I want to talk about is the side quests, the main quests, and companions. I mean, this is sort of what you're looking for when we're talking about any type of RPGs. If whether you're talking about Fallout or Skyrim, things like that. And this game definitely, or this series, I should say, definitely, gives you what you're looking for. The side quests are, great. They give a lot of backstory, but also they just allow you to sort of have fun and play how you want to play. It's not really a series that will force you or railroad you into sort of this line that they want you to play. It's very free form and sort of open world in that respect. As far as the main quest goes, very same thing. The series has a lot of replayability, because you could do an evil party or a good party, and then that sort of leads into the companions. The companions are very neat and well thought out, and they each sort of have their own abilities and skills that they really bring to the table. And that's kind of what you're looking for in a an RPG type of sense. And I feel like every time you play, you could have a different combination of companions that could really play well off one another, and you could the replayability is definitely there if that's what you're sort of looking for. Next thing I'll talk about is the simple fighting mechanics and puzzle solving. I mean, you can make this game as simple or as complex as you want it to be. So I played Baldur's Gate 1 on normal difficulty, and even that was challenging for me. It took me a while to go through some quests or defeat some bosses. But when I finished, it was very rewarding, because I had to think about what I wanted to do, or think about how I wanted to go about a certain situation, instead of just bull rushing it. Now that my strategy changed a little bit after Baldur's Gate 1, because I wanted to really play the rest of the series more for the story rather than the combat and the spell casting and all that stuff. So I do realize that I may be I don't want to say looked down upon, but it's a different way to play. But I think I had just as much fun playing through the story and just walking through a dungeon that may be pretty hard or pretty difficult on normal difficulty, and walking through and just hacking and slashing my way through and continuing through the story, because that's sort of the game that I wanted to play, and I think that's okay. Puzzle solving, there's lots of riddles and little puzzles for you to do. Some of these were fairly simple and I could do without really needing help. Others were pretty complex, and I did have to look for some guides online to be able to help me. But I mean, that's just me. That's just something I tend to do with RPGs and things like that. But it's definitely challenging as far as the puzzles go. And so the next thing I think I want to talk about is the graphics of the game or series. And like I've been saying, this is sort of an old school top-down view, so there's not really a lot of things to go into detail about as far as graphic goes, but it gets the job done. We're not talking, like PlayStation 1 Tomb Raider levels, but the 3D models and 3D characters and the rooms and the buildings and the towns you walk through. I mean, they look good for what they are. So nothing really to say about that. I didn't notice there was maybe one or two cutscenes in Baldur's Gate 1, but definitely in Baldur's Gate 2 and Throne of Ball. That's really when the sort of cutscenes come into their own, and it's a very nice change of pace when they do happen, because yes, some of them look aged and old, but just from going to regular gameplay, and all of a sudden you see this cutscene, it's a very it was like a breath of fresh air. It was very like, okay, like this is what I'm used to. It was very nice, and even the simple walking to a new area and getting a nice little cut scene, it was very refreshing. So I definitely liked that. This next issue about graphics, this could definitely be something on my end. I know I have, at least I think it's an original PS4 that I was playing all these games on. So I only had a few frame rate issues, and that was when there was a lot of fighting and spell casting going on, and a lot of guys hitting each other, and just a lot of different stuff going on screen. That was the only time I really had frame rate issues. So I imagine if you're playing on a PS4 Pro, or an Xbox One or a PC, it probably is not going to be an issue. I think mainly just the fact that I was playing on an original PS4, that might have been the problem. But that's the only issues I had with graphics or frame rate. Moving on to the story. So the whole Baldur's Gate saga in story is something that I think a lot of people my age, that grew up, playing Fallout and Skyrim, I think this story is something that we can still sink our teeth into. I mean, it's very in-depth, and the more I played, the more I wanted to not only learn about Gorion's ward, but just to try and figure out where the character fit in the world. You first start off, I'll briefly explain the story, not to go on for too long, but basically you start off in Candlekeep, and you soon are scurried away by your believed to be father, and he's soon killed, and you find out that you are a child of a god, and that is sort of how they, all right, now go play, and you're kind of like, okay, like there's a lot going on here, and you continue that character in Baldur's Gate 2 and in Throne of Ball, and it's just an amazing experience. And I think I'm really glad that I decided to pick up Baldur's Gate, not only because I love Dungeons and Dragons in general, but I think it's just an amazing story, an amazing series of games that I think anyone, whether you're used to, whether you've played them before, or haven't played them at all, I think it's something that everyone should at least experience once. On another note here, I said it was just engaging throughout. Like I said, I could hardly put the controller down. There'd be some nights where I'd stay up until 2-3 a.m. and it's like, oh, okay, I gotta work in the morning. Can't keep playing. And I think the only lack of story, or the lack of engagement, I think, was Siege of Dragonspear. And I know that's sort of the game that everyone sort of looks down upon, and that's sort of the at least except for the upcoming Baldur's Gate 3, Siege of Dragonspear is a game that's sort of looked down upon in multiple respects, and I won't really get into it too much, but I knew when I was playing that, because I played that after Baldur's Gate 1, and there was a definite I mean, I guess it is an expansion, but still I could really tell that this story in this game took a step down. And I mean, the other ones, in my opinion, knocked it out of the park. So I think they can't all be perfect, but just in my opinion, the Siege of Dragonspear story, for me at least, lacked a little bit. So the next thing I think I want to talk about is voice acting. So one of the main things that really stuck out to me, and this again might be me, growing up in a time where if the voice acting wasn't there, or if the main character didn't have any voice acting, it looked like a boring game, or it was something that wasn't desirable. So the fact that this game, yes, the main character that you play as, does have a voice actor in the fact that there's different battle cries, or they yell out different tiny quotes, but the fact that you're having to spend the whole game reading your lines. I shouldn't say reading you know what I mean, not reading your lines, but reading the text and reading what your character says. I think it just threw me off a little bit that they could have voice actors for all the different companions and all the different villains and characters and whatnot, but they didn't bother making a voice actor, or at least have a couple different options for Gorian's Ward, for the main character. So that's the only thing that really threw me off. So let me know down in the comments. I kind of want to know. Let me know down in the comments what everyone else sort of thinks of that. Maybe it's just me, being a going to be 24 years old. Maybe I'm just growing up in a different era of games, but maybe people that grew up with Baldur's Gate, maybe that wasn't an issue for them. But that's just me. Another thing is not all dialogue in the game is voiced, and that was another thing. And you know what, that's not a big issue for me, but there was a few times where they would start off voice acting this paragraph, and it would they'd stop, the voice would stop like in the middle of the paragraph, and it would just cut off, and it was sort of abrupt, and it sort of threw my immersion off a little bit, because I was really getting into the voice actor, and he or she would be just doing amazing, and then all of a sudden they just stop talking, and it's like, oh right, so now I have to continue to read. So that was another thing that sort of threw me off. Also, the voice acting can get, in my opinion, it can get a little repetitive. You have to mess with some settings if you don't want your companions to continue to yell out battle cries every time you get into a fight, or every time you just switch back and forth between the characters. And that got a little annoying for me, but I was finally able to find that setting and switch that off. So that was the only issues for me, and for the voice acting anyway. A few more things here. Next I want to talk about the world building, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the story and the campaign. But I think it's just a great setup as far as building this world of not only the city of Baldur's Gate, but just the world of Faerun in general. I think the series just does a great job, and it definitely makes me excited to play Baldur's Gate 3. Another note I had, makes you care about the world. Different events happen, and it makes you really, I wonder, for example, in Baldur's Gate 2, you don't really head back to the same areas or the same, world as, I shouldn't say world, but, same places and areas as Baldur's Gate 1. So while you're playing this game, there's different things going on, and you're thinking, I wonder how, how people in Candlekeep are doing, or things like that. So it's very good in that sense. And I think the last note that I have for world building is that, after playing all the game in the series so far, I really feel like I know enough about the environment and the world to play Baldur's Gate 3. And that doesn't mean that you have to play the other series in the games to really, know what's going on in Baldur's Gate 3. At least as far as I know, it's going to be a different sort of story and different sort of obviously set of characters. But I feel like I know enough about the world to play Baldur's Gate 3 and to sort of know the lore and know what's going on. My final thoughts about the series. I think the first thing I wanted to jot down right away was games like Skyrim and Fallout. I just don't think they would be the same or not exist at all if it wasn't for Baldur's Gate and these games. And that goes, just as much for the Divinity Original Sin games, or other CCRPGs. I just don't think Baldur's Gate set the tone and really sort of came into its own thing, and while playing, I was like, okay, I think RPGs today took a lot from Baldur's Gate and just continued to build on it. And I think that was really cool to sort of find out. And let me know down in the comments for people that are watching this and maybe grew up with Baldur's Gate or have been playing it for years. I mean, this series, or this game at least, had to have been groundbreaking for its time. At least that's sort of the feeling that I got, because I grew up playing obviously Skyrim and Fallout, but also Call of Duty games, and playing this game, it felt like I was playing, that first feeling when you play Skyrim again. Or Skyrim for the first time, I should say. It was just, a beautiful thing to behold. So let me know down in the comments if during, its inception, or, when it was out, if it was really groundbreaking as I felt that I think it was. I think one of my final thoughts is this has to be one of my favorite video game series that I've ever played, honestly. It's that good. And I just feel, like I sort of said before, I just feel that this is a series that everyone, whether you're a casual gamer or whether you're, a big fan of RPGs, or you've never played an RPG before, you can play story mode and not really have to worry about, am I casting this spell correctly, or am I using the right spell, or am I going to die in the next room, because you can just experience the story for what it is. And I think even on those terms, I think the game is fantastic, or the series is fantastic. Okay, and now I want to get to the final grades for all 4 games, and that's Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Throne of Ball, and Siege of Dragonspear. So I think the lowest tier, as far as the series goes, in my opinion, has to be Siege of Dragonspear. And I mentioned before, I think just the lack of story, and just from playing Baldur's Gate 1, and then I played Siege of Dragonspear because I went in chronological order, I could just tell that Siege of Dragonspear, for me at least, was a step down in the series. And then after playing the other 2, I still felt that way. So I'm going to give Siege of Dragonspear a 6 out of 10. So nothing terrible. I think it's above average, but definitely not my favorite of the series. Next is Throne of Ball. So I thought Throne of Ball was actually an excellent sort of, I guess I'm not really sure what to call it, a spin-off, but also an expansion, I guess. I think it actually did have a lot of potential, and I was having a lot of fun with it. But I wished it was longer. I felt like if it was a little bit longer, it would have been able to just be fleshed out a little more, and I felt like I would have enjoyed it, just as much as Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And that's sort of my thoughts on that. So I'm going to give Throne of Ball a 7 out of 10. And next, so this will be number 2, is Baldur's Gate 1. So Baldur's Gate 1, I think, was an excellent introduction to the series. I think it did. It checks all the boxes as far as RPGs go for me, and it was just a great introduction to the series. And as far as the issue goes, there's not many, but I think just the fact that just the simple things that I mentioned, as far as your voice actor not your voice actor, but your character not having a dedicated voice actor. I think that was one of the things that threw me off. And as far as that goes, so Baldur's Gate 1, I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. Still a great game, but definitely not as good as number 1, and that's Baldur's Gate 2. And this game, but before I even gave it the rating I'm about to give it, it's still, as far as I can tell online, it's still regarded as possibly one of the best video games of all time, if not the best RPG of all time. And I definitely can understand that. If it wasn't 100 hours, I would replay it in a heartbeat. But I mean, it took. I started playing Baldur's Gate 1 in March, and this video, I think, is going to come out in. This review is going to come out September, and I bet that's the only games I've played. So I think, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that I wished every game was every single game was 20 hours. I would have loved it if each game had an extra 20 hours. But I think it just checks all the boxes for Baldur's Gate 2. So for that, I'm going to give Baldur's Gate 2 an almost perfect score of 9.5 out of 10. So you're going to ask, wow, why'd this dude not give it a 10 out of 10? Or, what's with the half a point? Okay, I understand that. But I think, like I said, back to the Baldur's Gate 1, just the small details, like your character, not having full dialogue, full voice acting. I think that was just one of the things that really threw me off, and the fact that sometimes there'll be voice actors or for other characters, and they'll just stop talking in the middle of a paragraph. That really threw me off the immersion. That's only the really gripe I have about Baldur's Gate 2. So yeah, 9.5 out of 10. All right, well, feel free to roast me in the comments for that, but next I think I'm going to announce the new game that I'll be playing, and I think, without really saying it, I think I might as well just show you the trailer. So here's the trailer for the next game that I'll be playing on my channel.
Understand? Don't let it end like this. You know nothing of power.
Yep, that's right. Planescape Torment. Now, this is a game that I've also heard a lot about, never played before, and it's sort of in the same sort of similar realm as Baldur's Gate, but at least from what I could tell, it's a little bit maybe, I don't want to say darker or grittier, but I think it's just it's going to be a different experience, and it's going to be a little bit different. And I've also found, or I've also heard that this is also considered, one of the best games, RPGs, experiences of all time. So I'm really excited to give this a try again. I'll be playing this on the PlayStation 4, and I really hope you guys will stick around on my channel to see the gameplay of that, because I'm really excited to get to that game as well. And the next thing before we end the video is some Baldur's Gate 3 news. And it looks like Baldur's Gate 3 will have early access on September 30th for Steam and Stadia. Now, it was originally announced that the early access was going to be in August, and for whatever reason that got moved. I think it was maybe just they wanted a little more time to polish some things, which I totally understand, and I would rather play a game that's been polished and most, if not all, the bugs have been fixed before you give me an incomplete thing that needs tons and ton of updates. So I'd rather them be honest and upfront and say that than give us an early access or a game that's incomplete. So I think that's really cool. So be looking for that on Steam and Stadia on September 30th. And other than that, that's sort of all I got. And this has been my first game review that I've done. So feel free to give me some pointers or some comments, or if you hate that I gave Baldur's Gate 1 an 8 or Baldur's Gate 2 a 9.5, let me know in the comments, because I'm always looking for feedback. And I appreciate you guys watching, sticking through. And like I said, be looking out for Planescape Torment gameplay videos coming up right after this. So thanks a lot, guys, and don't forget you can check out, if you're just seeing this and you want to see my Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and all the other playthroughs, I'll put the playlists, or one of the playlists here, or down in the description. I'll do something. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you all in the next one.